Welcome to the Protagonist Pub. My name is Tammy, and this is where characters gather. I was tagged by the lovely Anne over at In Search of Wonder. I will link her video in the description down below for this tag, and it is the Winter Essentials tag. Although, like Anne said, it could pretty much be called the Christmas Essentials tag because so many of the prompts for this tag are Christmas related. So there are 12 prompts in total, and it was fun, and I chose a good variety of books. So without further ado, the first prompt is A Crackling Fire. A book with a favorite cold character who you warmed up to towards the end. And I am going to choose The Children of Gods and Fighting Men by Shauna Lawless. This is the first book in the Gale Song trilogy. It is historical fantasy. And honestly, the first book I was very on the fence about. It's very well written. It's very enjoyable Irish history, Irish mythology, but it isn't the best. The first book is mostly world building, and so you really don't get a feel about any of the characters. You really don't like any of them, or at least I didn't. And I was just enamored enough by the end of the book to read the second book, but I wasn't like in love with any of the characters at the end of the first book. Okay, question 2. Snowflakes. A book that was full of unique characters. And for me, a very good example of a book full of unique characters is Recorder by Kathy McCrum. This is not going to come as a surprise to you. If you have been here for any length of time, you know how much I love the Children of the Consortium series. And Recorder is a very unique character. And her character arc, as she goes from this very cold, methodical, blank human to a warm, inquisitive, vibrant, questioning human over the course of the story is truly just beautiful. The entire series is phenomenal. Even if you don't like science fiction, like it isn't a genre you gravitate towards, this is very character driven science fiction. It isn't hard science fiction. Yes, it takes place in space. Yes, there's an occasional, reminder that you're not on planet Earth, but this is relatable science fiction with a heart. Everyone should read it. Okay, next prompt. Gingerbread family. A fictional family you would want to be part of. And you all know this book and this series was going to make an appearance. That would be the Robb family in the Molly Chase series. This is in pieces. It is the first book of the series. And Mrs. Robb, her son, her daughter, their openness and willingness to take in Molly and, nurture and love her and everything that goes with it, it would just be a fabulous family to find yourself enveloped in. And we all know how much I love that book, so not a surprise. Okay, prompt 4, Blizzard. A book that had you confused the whole time. There are 2 choices for this, and in the end, I loved them both. But first up would be the 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. The entire purpose of this book is to keep you guessing the entire time. I cannot say anything more about it because I don't want to spoil anything in the book. But you are not intended to understand what is going on. And the second choice, while I understood the linear story being told and I understood the story arc, what had me confused the whole time was its intended Catholic representation. And it wasn't until well after that I was having a conversation with Rhonda that I got it. And that would be Mark Maker by Mary Jessica Woods. This is Catholic science fiction. And the second book is being written as we speak. And it has a definite, easy to understand linear story. Well, easy, not the right word. It is a story you can understand at a very surface level, but to get the Catholic portion of it, you either have to think or you have to go in knowing what you're looking for. So I will say that. Okay. Next up is gift giving. The last book gifted to you. And these came together, so I am sharing both of them. These were a birthday gift. Oh, wait. This is not technically the right answer. There's technically another book after this. I will go pull that before I move on to the next one. So these 2 were gifted together. They're from Amanda. They were for my birthday. The first one is Of Love and Treason by Jamie Ogle. We are buddy reading this in February, or at least we've discussed buddy reading this in February. And this is historical fiction, and it is dealing with St. Valentine. And the other birthday gift book from Amanda was The Medicine Woman of Galveston. Again, historical fiction. I haven't read anything by either of these 2 authors, and I haven't read either of these 2 books yet. And I love the cover of this book. Okay, let me go get the other one. Okay, next, and the other book, which technically came just later, is The Mercy of God by James S.A. Corey. This was a birthday gift from the fabulous unicorn known as Chrissy. This is science fiction. It is the start of a new series. I have read this one, and it, as you know, Corey wrote, or Corey's a writing team, they wrote the Expanse series. And The Mercy of Gods is nothing like The Expanse, except for the fact that it takes place in space. So if you go into it expecting it to be like The Expanse, you will be deeply disappointed. It was much more introspective and thinking than The Expanse. The Expanse is much more action and always on the go. So they're very different, but I did completely enjoy The Mercy of God. So, okay. Question 6. Snowball. The biggest book you have ever read. Well, this is kind of an oddball question because editions I've been reading for so long and I, don't track that. I did pull something from my shelf. I could have pulled Texas by James Michener, even though I haven't finished it yet. However, it is buried on a shelf in my guest bedroom that is well above my head, and I didn't want to dig out my stepladder this morning. But that one is over 1,400 pages. Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson. I have read this one digitally. I'm in the process of rereading the Stormlight Archive Part 1. But, it's a chunky. I could have chosen War and Peace, but again, it varies. So it's very difficult to say. Like, my copy of the complete works of Shakespeare is very thick too. So there you go. Okay. Wrapping paper. Your most beat up book. I don't have a lot of beat up books. You're going to see this one in my last book haul of the year. This is from the library. It has a wee bit of water damage to the cover in the first couple of pages. And it is by far the most obviously damaged book I have. As you know, beat up books and I are not the best of friends. Christmas Lights. A book with many colors on the cover. Again, any of the last couple of ones I've shown would work for this, but I grabbed The Plains of Passage by Jean Emil. This is, I want to say, the 4th book in the Earth Children series. And again, I've slowly been collecting these as they appear. Yep, it's the 4th book from my library. And it just has a very colorful and very beautiful cover. And if you open the cover to the whole thing, it is a continuous photo or a continuous cover. Sorry for the glare. But I love the colors on this, so it was an obvious choice for this. Answer? Okay. Question number 9. Ice skating. A plot that was all over the place. And again, Gale Song is going to make an appearance for the last time. Again, Children of Gods and Fighting Men. As I said, the first question for this, the first book in the trilogy really spends the entire book establishing the world, introducing characters and all of the competing versions of faith that existed in ancient Ireland at that time. And so it is just a scattered storytelling, but it's establishing the foundation that, if you can stick with it, begins to pay off in book 2. Question 10. Christmas tree. Favorite character of all time? Oh, this is such a complicated answer. So, my favorite childhood character of all time, not going to be a surprise to any of you, Winnie the Pooh. Probably my favorite middle grade character, Harriet the Spy. And once I was beginning to read much bigger books by the time I was reading Harriet the Spy. I have read so many books I just absolutely love over time. The one that always sticks out and just remains in my head is Will the Fool, and the autobiography of Henry VIII by Margaret George. This is, I've recently talked about this in Epistolary Novels. I will link that video down below. Yes, this is a big, thick, chunky book. Yes, you can tackle this one easily. It is worth the time investment. It is worth it is beautifully written. It is funny and poignant, and it brings Henry to life, and Will is just this amazing character, and I truly loved him. And I've read this book decades ago at this point. Okay, question 11. The Star, a book you look forward to rereading each year. As you know, I do not do a lot of rereading, and I certainly don't repetitively reread a book every year. I've reread 2 books this year. I reread Recorder, as it was book club choice in, I think, March of this year. And that was okay because I was reading it and getting different perspectives at the time. And then last month, I reread Little Women, and it was not a good experience. I didn't like it. I skipped vast portions of the second half of Little Women, which is Good Wives. It was rereading and I don't get along. But I do have an answer for this question. So if you substitute movie for book, there are 2 Christmas movies I rewatch all the time, and 1 animated show. I watch all of them every Christmas season. So the animated is the original. There's 2. It's Christmas Time, Charlie Brown, and How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I love the Grinch book, by the way. And I love, Clement's poem, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. But in particular, adaptations of the Grinch, I only like this version. Don't like the live actions. I don't like any of the other modern adaptations. The original animated one from when I was a child will always be the best. And the 2 movies I love and watch every year, the first would be White Christmas by Bing Crosby, and which these are both, neck and neck for my favorite Christmas movies. And the other would be Scrooged, starring Bill Murray. I, who cannot sing, and carrying a tune is just not in my bailiwick, sing for all of these programs. Dave puts in his, earbuds so he can drown me out, or I take pity on him and watch when he's mowing the grass or at the office or something. But this year he's going to get to hear me sing. I'm sure he's happy about that. Okay. And the last question. Snowball fight. Tag 5 people. And so I am going to tag people I know that have not either done it, or if you have done it, I apologize in advance, or were tagged in Anne's video. So I'm going to tag Chrissy over at Chrissy's Purple Library. I'm going to tag Amanda over at Book Lover Amanda. I'm going to tag Miriam from Miriam Elizabeth Reads. I'm going to tag Jeanette over at Jane Reads. And I'm going to tag Storm over at Storm Reads. Easy tag ladies for, winter content. If you're in a drought, we all come across that problem. And this was easy to pull books from. It was entertaining. I had to go back